Oh boy. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening.
I'm saying, oh boy, because I'm looking at those intro things and saying, man, we looked so young when we started this. Or maybe I should say I looked so young.
Yeah. Your beard is giving it away.
Yeah. Well, good evening, gentlemen, and a happy Sabbath and a happy December 1, 2023. It's good to see you guys. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. That was 2 Thursdays ago.
Yes, indeed.
Thursday. Yeah, but God is good. God is good. I had a great time.
Yes, I see Colleen Moody in the chat. She's saying, God bless this session. Good to see you, Colleen. Faye Davis saying, nice shirt. Yeah, I think that is a nice shirt, Roger. Got the logo and everything on there. I like it.
I have to promote wherever I can.
Yes, sir. There's our man, Rodney Smith. Good evening, Doc. Happy Sabbath to you, sir.
He's back in the house. That's right.
In the house. Yes, indeed. Man, this is gonna be a fascinating season that we are moving into. We are moving into this holiday season, man, and just so many of our viewers, our guests, have done so much to make the Pastors Roundtable what it has been over these last 3 years. And it's hard to come to this point and not just take a moment to pause and just kind of look back over what we have seen and what we've heard here at the Pastors Roundtable. And gentlemen, I just want you to know it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a blessing. I've been honored to share this space with you guys, and I'm looking forward, before somebody thinks we're saying goodbye, looking forward to spending much more time developing what God has placed in front of us. So thank you so much for the opportunity, gentlemen.
Yes, God definitely has been good, man, over the last couple of seasons, and we've had some good episodes, and we're looking forward, man, to some episodes coming up next season. And I know tonight is going to be special as well.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting night, y'all. It's going to be interesting. Hold on to your seats.
Hey.
One of the things that I am excited about for Pastors Roundtable, not only connecting with each of you as my co-hosts and connecting with our viewers on a very personal way, is my colleagues in ministry. One colleague stopped me today and said to me the episode we did on risk management was on fire. He just said that was golden. He says that should be required viewing for all pastors. And
Wow.
It just felt good to know that what we're doing is making an impact, not just to our viewers, not to just those in the pew, but even those who are involved in ministry and leading ministry day to day. And so this has been a wonderful ministry that we have we found ourselves being partnered with God on. That's my new thing, because we couldn't do this. This was all God.
That's right.
And praise God for that. Listen, we want to thank each of you for joining us tonight. Some of you are joining us live. Some of you are joining us on the replay. This weekend, PRT team has decided we're going to be covering PELC, the Pastoral Leadership and Evangelism Conference that takes place every year, first week in December up in Huntsville, Alabama, primarily hosted on the campus of Oakwood University. Tonight, however, there is an opening, can we say salvo, barrage of ministry that's taking place. And you saw it if you watched the little countdown. The Festival of Hymns is going on right now. And we've got them live. They're live right now. They started about an hour ago, but they're still going. Guys, you want to pop in for a quick minute and see what's going on there?
Let's do it,
man.
Let's do it. Okay,
right.
they're
live to Huntsville, Alabama.
Live to Huntsville, Alabama.
Church.
This is at First Church.
Yes, there we go.
Festival of Hymns.
Ooh, Jesus. Yes.
Pastor Brizette up there.
So great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning. Morning by morning. New mercies I see.
It's nice that we got some singing preachers, boy.
You can play it too now.
That's true. That's right. He's a musician as well.
Thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness. Great, great, great
love it.
is thy faith. Again, great is thy
But the place
faithfulness.
is packed too.
Is thy,
Yes.
great is thy faithfulness.
Now, is that
Lord.
Gil Murphy playing?
Yes, sir. The one and
Yeah,
only.
that's Gail Jones Murphy.
Yes.
You know, as you see down on the bottom of the scrolling there, this is happening at the First Church in First SDA Church in Huntsville, Alabama. It is live right now. We are watching a live feed of what's happening there, and this is the opening salvo for the PELC conference this year. This is a conference. Roger, can you give us maybe a little history on PELC?
So, as you know, it used to be called the Evangelism Council. Back while we were at school, the first weekend in December, all the preachers will descend on Oakwood University, Oakwood College campus. And we were excited as preachers, as students, to connect with the preachers and to hear powerful sermons and just be in the atmosphere. Then it expanded to include Bible workers and clergy, spouses, and even a Spanish track was added. And it was the premier pastors event, especially in the regional conference. I think I heard it's the largest pastoral event in the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yeah, outside of the one that the NAD has started to do the same alongside General Conference session, the one prior to that. So outside of that one, this is the largest of its kind, in the denomination.
And so this weekend, I think this is an expansion of offerings that they're doing for the weekend. Oakwood University Church normally does a salute to chaplains on this weekend, and Rear Admiral Chaplain Barry Black will be the speaker on tomorrow, and he normally comes in and speaks on that day, and then PELC will begin on Sunday evening with a honoree celebration. They're celebrating honorees from the regional conferences and the two conferences out in the West and the conferences out in the West Coast. But tonight is a new offering, a festival of hymns.
Yeah,
Music.
it's the first time they've done this. Yeah,
music is going to be the key for this weekend.
Festival of Hymns, as far as I understand. Yeah,
right. Yeah, festival of hymns.
Yeah, I think in the past they have done something. Technically, it doesn't officially start until Sunday night.
Right.
Although I think you had to register to. Well, I'm not sure. You didn't have to register to be a part of this one, but yeah. Anyway, Dion, tell us a little bit about. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Raj.
You would have to register for the training that's going to be offered.
Yeah.
But for the preaching, you are welcome to be here the weekend and enjoy what is being offered.
Oh, here's this. I don't know this. This is a hymn, How to Reach the Masses, Men of Every Birth. You guys know this one?
Play it. Let me hear it.
Let's listen
louder,
in.
man.
Can we how do we get let's go full screen.
Unto me, lift him up.
Oh, lift him up.
Lift the Savior up.
Yeah.
Lift him up. Still he speaks from eternity. And
I learned this song from Dewey Smith.
From the earth
And Lamar Gent was just in the chat.
This song is from our Christ.
Second verse.
Not him Christ.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you. Say it one more time.
I was saying this song is found in the Christ inside. So,
Got it.
which was used more for evangelistic meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Seventh-day Adventist Church has a strong musical history.
Yes.
With hymns and with songs of evangelistic. Because we used to have a Sunday night service. I mean, I don't know if you remember that. A Sunday night service was the evangelistic service for the week. We'll have Sabbath service on Sabbath, on Saturdays, and then Sunday night was the evangelistic service where we could invite our neighbors to come to that service. And then Wednesday that was prayer meeting. So we have a rich history in music.
Now, Raj, they didn't always do Sabbath service, right? I think that, when we were going there at Oakwood, I think they just started on Sunday night.
Well, they still don't start until Sunday night. What's happening tomorrow at Oakwood is not PELC. That's just Oakwood University.
But on tomorrow night, they're going to have a concert.
Okay.
At the Madison Mission Church. So they're offering some things to add to the weekend. So those preachers, those Bible workers, those elders, because they'll be trained on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And if you come in early, you're going to have some opportunities to connect. I think on Sunday, there's going to be a musical symposium where they'll be teaching on music in the church. And so they have a lot happening before PELC begins on Monday.
Okay. And it's kind of like they expanded the reach, right? Like they expanded it. So if at first, as you said, Raj, you're right. It was, the preaching and, that was kind of, but they expanded it. So you're talking about, they're having an elders training too, I believe, a master class. I think I saw something on the flyer.
Yes.
And then they're doing, like you said, the Bible workers. So they just expanded it. And they actually didn't they change the name too? I mean, Raj, you're the expert on this thing, man.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of asking you what's going on.
Yes,
But they changed the name about 10 years ago, maybe, or something like that.
Something like that, to pastors and evangelistic leadership conference.
Yeah.
So it moved from just being evangelism to leadership in a broad sense, and so they tap into almost everything. There's a Spanish track where our Spanish pastors come in and
Hispanic.
part of that. So it
I was going to figure out which way to point.
It's a lot happening. Ooh, I did the wrong.
See,
It's a lot.
Right? Oh, I got it.
yeah, there you go. So
There's
that's the
a
Spanish
lot
track up top. What we didn't mention is the one in the bottom left is the ministerial spouses track that they have. I know those pictures are kind of small, but if you're at home, you can maybe blow that up. You can read the details on that, or just go to the PELC.com or PELCpower.com. And you can find out. You'll probably see these same flyers in bigger print. Back in green is the one that's about for local elders. And then the one in the front, the bottom right is for Bible instructor training. So this is an event that again, as we talked about, started out initially primarily for pastors, and it was specifically geared towards evangelism. They broadened it to include leadership. So it's a 3-day, sometimes 4-day, depending on how you count these preliminary events. What would we call it? A continuing education track for pastors. Started back in the day with Elder E.E. Cleveland, and Elder C.D. Brooks and Pastor, was it Mervyn Warren, was also part of that initial team that got the what we called back then Evangelism Council started, because they felt that we needed to do something. You know, pastors go to school in undergrad, and then in those days, not every pastor went to seminary. So you would have pastors out in the field pastoring, and they said there needs to be something to help pastors keep up with pastoral and evangelistic trends, to sharpen the tool set. And so, with great foresight and wisdom, some of our pioneering forefathers in this work got together and said, hey, well, let's create this event to help sharpen the tools. That, yes, we may have been out of school and away from some of this stuff for some time, but it's a good thing for pastors to be able to come together and to talk shop. And sometimes we do it in the local conference context, but this was a much wider context. Pastors from all over first started pretty much the Southeast, and it began to expand to the Midwest and the far West, United States. That's right, Henry Wright, Rodney, part of that. And then now we've literally have pastors from all over the world that come to PELC.
Now, Pastor Paul, not only do we have pastors coming all over the world to PELC, but just last summer, 2023, we went to South Africa, right? And kind of started some type of collaboration and having a leadership ministry there. So it's going into different places. So
yeah.
So I understand that even this weekend, that there are members from the South African Union who are here to experience PELC this year. And as you shared, Dr. Henry, PELC went to Africa. I think actually it was not South Africa. It may have been.
Oh, it wasn't South Africa. Okay.
Central Africa, north of, I think it was Zambia, one of them. I could be wrong. Okay. But they went and they established a foothold of providing the kind of training that normally happens here at PELC. And from what I understand, there's going to be an African version of PELC yearly. And that speaks volumes for where the leadership is taking this style and type of ministry, around the world.
Wow.
We should say at this point, if our viewers, if this is the first time you're hearing about PELC and what's happening, you are welcome to participate at pelcpower.com. There is a small, and when I say small, there's a small fee to join and have specific access, have access to all that is happening. And not only do you have the access during the event, but you have the access after the event, all the preaching, the training. So if you're really interested in what you're seeing tonight, you are welcome to join this offering at pelcpower.com. You will love it. It is truly a wonderful experience to hear the preaching, hear the teaching from across the United States.
All right. Somebody's asking, what does PELC stand for?
Yeah, PELC, P-E-L-C, Brother James, P-E-L-C.
Evangelism, leadership, what, training?
Council.
Did we get it right?
Conference.
Oh, conference. I said, okay.
It's right at the top.
The team threw me off.
It's the top of the flyer there. Pastoral, Evangelism, and Leadership Council.
Council, right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I see Jesse Wilson is up. He is the director of PELC. Right now, let's listen in and see what he's saying.
schedule if you go to the to the website without registering, but you'll get enough to know what's going on. But we really need you to register. We appreciate your support, and may the Lord bless you real good. Let me tell you something.
Sounds like they're wrapping up.
Every class that I teach, I see my boss.
I think he did.
Let's give a hand for Dr. Cliff Jones, the best religion department head. Y'all better put your hands together. That's my boss, y'all. And Elva, his wife.
I thought I saw Clifford, Dr. Jones in the audience.
He's a preacher and he's a great administrator.
So I saw when Janella Peters asked the question about the song "Lift Him Up." How come it's not sung in the church? As you know, in our churches, we sing out the hymn book. we're hymnal people. But there was a time when we would sing from the Christ in Song for the young people in the evening. In the afternoon, we would sing songs from the youth sings. So we have a number of hymnals that a number of songbooks that we would use. The Christ in Song, the youth sings, and there are a couple of others there that use evangelistic meetings. So some of the songs that you're hearing tonight at this festival were not all songs in the hymn book, but they were all songs that were sung on a regular basis. And I guess we should hasten to quickly say that sadly, we have lost the edge on singing the hymn. We have moved into a new era of music, but we're missing out on the rich heritage of our hymns.
Yeah. What I would say to Janelle, I think it was the name, is that we sang that in my church. So it's not a thing about all Adventist churches. Hey, there's Gail. It was. We sang it in my church, my most recent church, actually. Not the one I'm currently in, but the one I was in before. A shout out to Daughter of Zion, SDA Church down there in Delray. But that was a song that we would sing as we began our worship and going into our prayer. So it's and that will vary from church to church. And the amount of hymns that you hear in churches will vary from church to church. The specific hymns that you hear in churches. So it's hard to just kind of lump Adventism all in one boat when it comes to the music that we use in liturgy. You can have churches in the same town and just hear a whole different genre, a whole different selection from place to place. She's getting ready to do something. And by the way, we did talk to the PELC administrators and Dr. Wilson about sharing this with you tonight and getting permission to go ahead and to share this and with the pastor of the church. So we are not just kind of how would you call that, pirating their content without permission this evening.
Matter of fact, we would normally have someone from the PELC committee to be with us as a guest, but because they have all of this happening, they could not be with us. So we said we will still continue with our PELC show and celebrate with them what's happening and sharing. Listen, can you share with us, maybe those in the chat, if you've been to PELC, can you share with us your PELC? Your PELC memory, your best PELC memory, whether it's a sermon title, whether it's a song, whether it's an experience, a prayer experience. Share with us what is your favorite or your memorable PELC experience. And I'm going to ask my colleagues here, share with us.
So with that, I have to admit that the times that I have gone to PELC, and I have not attended PELC very often in my 20-something years, but PELC coming down at the end of a year, you're getting ready to go into a brand new year. There's a difference when you come together among colleagues and you're able to kind of share your stories and to share your ideas and your plans, that I will say this, that apart from any of the preaching and any of the workshops and the seminars, there is some release and some relief in that, in just being around people who are going through what you're going through, who have dealt with some of the issues that you've dealt with, and that's huge. And then some of this is, and I almost hate to say it, but it's real. I don't hate to say it because there's value in it. Many of the people that we go and that we see at PELC are people that are pastoring in other conferences in faraway places that were our friends and our classmates that we used to go to school with. And so there's the camaraderie and the friendship and that gets, reignited and all of that. So it's nice to see your friends and sometimes their spouses and their children, and you get to catch up. And there's a huge kind of a decompression that takes place. People talk about mental health these days, and PELC offers an opportunity for pastors and leaders to just kind of decompress a little bit. And that's huge when you're getting ready to go into a brand new year. You're working on your calendar, getting set to reset. And so I think there's value in that alone. You take all of the preaching off the table, you take all of the workshops off the table, all of the continuing education stuff, and there's a lot of value in that piece all by itself. And I know Dion maybe has something else to add to that.
Right. Well, for me, PELC is a recharge, right? You're coming to a setting where you are being ministered to. So from Sabbath to Sabbath, we are coordinating the program. You may delegate somebody else. You're preaching, for most of those Sabbaths from the year. And you want to make sure that your church is current. And, there's a lot of work that goes into pastoring, right? And it's not just holding a church down, like you're trying to grow your church, okay? So it takes a lot. It's a lot of work. And so when you come to PELC and you are able to sit down, right, and be ministered to by, let's talk about the worship service, you're getting some of the top communicators in the church, all right, and even outside the church, and getting to hear the word and being inspired by the word, and also learning. So it's also a learning, environment for me. So you get to hear how people are doing different things in ministry. You get to hear best practices in ministry. Some of the, one of the things about pastoring, you could stay in your church and you could just be there all the time and never look at anything else. And you will know that there are other things out there that can help your church grow. And so going to PELC and being a part of the plenary meetings and also the workshops, it lets you know that, hey, there's some things that you can do for your congregation outside the box, creative, that will help your church grow. And you get all of that there. And then the singing, oh my, well, the hymns are great. They also have the praise and worship as well, right? Yeah. And when Damian Chandler and that crew from Madison Mission, when they get on there, oh my, and then they do the hymns there and they do it differently. It's rearranged and so forth. I mean, it's just a blessing to be at a place where you can be recharged. And by the way, I want to say this, Oakwood, when I look at Oakwood, you are getting like and I'm going to say the best of the best. Right? When you're at Oakwood, like when I say best of the best, maybe I'm a little biased. I'm an Oakwoodite. I think we're all Oakwoodites here. But you're getting the best of the best. You're getting the best musicians. You're getting the best singers. You're getting the best preachers. And so being in that environment, it inspires you. And then when you go back to your local church as a pastor, you go back recharged. You go back renewed. And I think the members will appreciate that you went to a place where you could be poured into. So that's my experience with PELC. And then, of course, Pastor Paul, like you said, we have our friends there, and it's always good to see colleagues and from different places and connect with them. So it's a good experience. Good experience.
Roger, I would add to that that Dr. Henry mentioned about the preaching and hearing good preaching. I would add some nuance to that and say that we these days hearing good preaching is different than what it used to be, right? 15, 20 years ago, if you were going to hear somebody preach other than yourself, you had to get the CD or you had to get the cassette. You had to order it and it would come in. Now it's a lot more accessible through the internet. You can go and find, preaching and all that. So having access to other preaching is a lot easier now than it's before. But here's the difference, I guess, in the nuance of something like PELC, is that the preachers that are preaching at PELC are preaching to preachers. It's like that's the audience, that's the intended audience, and so we hear other preaching and that's a general audience, but at something like PELC, there are messages that are contoured and catered and structured, contextualized to the world and the needs of pastors and of preachers, and I think that's another thing that puts what you get and what you receive as a pastor at an event like PELC on a little different level than what you normally might get just by browsing internet and hearing just a good sermon.
Well, I mean, as you shared years ago, I mean, when this started in '79, the internet was not around. If you wanted to hear good preaching, you had to be in the place.
Had to be there.
Matter of fact, PELC at that time brought the preachers together. So you didn't have to go all over the United States or even around the world. It was brought to you. Today, it's kind of the same, although there's an online presence. Many of you talk. I think Dr. Henry shared it's a place to decompress. Well, personally, I don't get to decompress.
He's working.
Because since COVID has changed the priority of ministry, I praise God for the opportunity to serve PELC in a way that helps them to be online and share with those who are back home who can't come. I saw in the chat. Lamar asked if it's only pastors who can come. No, it's anybody who can get away can come and be a part. It could be just the fact you want to be in the atmosphere of others who think like you, who are excited about ministry. There's Bible workers, people who go out and give Bible study. They come and so that they can be trained and also be inspired. Yeah. I think one of the things we don't realize is inspiration helps us to get the message out.
That's right.
You need to be inspired. You got to be around inspiring people. Come on now.
Come on, preacher.
So
I love it.
It's about inspiration. It's about learning. It's about making the best practices. And so all of that put together makes this a very unique experience here.
Is this a hymn that we know, you guys?
Love it.
We're almost, the day is drawing. We're almost home.
I'm not familiar with that.
I don't know that one.
They're singing with music, so
Yeah, I don't think they know it either. They're reading the words.
Oh, okay.
But we're almost home.
I want to let Lamar know that yes, there's a registration. It's very nominal. Go to pelcpower.com and you can connect in with PELC, as I was sharing earlier. You can connect into PELC and experience PELC online, or like I like to say, PELC everywhere. We were talking about our best PELC experience, and for me, is listening to the well-crafted sermons. I don't consider myself a great preacher, but it's interesting when you listen to good preaching. all of a sudden you begin to weave that into your preparation and weave that into your process and weave it into your presentation. But the one of the beauties about PELC is not that we're not into, and this is what I like about it. It's not about just being into ourselves. The PELC Evangelism Council leadership realized that we have something to offer the world. And so they were very, very, very intentional in inviting first day pastors to be a part, especially those in Huntsville. And they brought in some well-known names to share, to rub shoulders with us, to learn about Adventism. And many of the great Sunday preachers that are out there, first day preachers, they talk about what they experienced when they came to Oakwood University or Oakwood College back in the day, but Oakwood University, and they connected with Seventh-day Adventist pastors, and we were able to share what we believe, and we find that there's a lot in common. There's a lot in common in what we believe, but the PELC experience that I have not forgotten is when Dr. Curtis shared where
myrtles grow.
Oh,
Where myrtles grow. I remember that.
where myrtles grow, and it was in an obscure passage, but he brought it to life. Brought it to life. And as we sit here, another one of the first day pastors who came to PELC and preached the paint off the walls was why did the name just miss me? He just recently passed away on Wednesday. Father help me. I'm literally drawing a blank.
There was a pastor that passed away on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm literally drawing a blank right now. Somebody help me out.
Let's see if we can look that up.
You're talking about somebody who had spoken at PELC before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, while we're trying to think of that name, that's often been a controversial spot, and far be it from us at the Pastors Roundtable to ignore that. But there's often been controversy and whatnot about the idea of bringing non-Adventist preachers and speakers to this event. And I know in times past, I think, what was it? They invited.
The big
big
bishop.
Yeah, T.D. Jakes. And it was interesting because from nearly the beginning, they have always brought in a non-Adventist speaker from the very beginning, just about.
Yes.
But that year in particular, it got out and about, and in the larger population, it came across as if this was a brand new thing, and there was so much controversy and so much backlash over that Jakes got disinvited that particular year.
Yeah. And he wasn't even coming to preach. He was coming to teach. He was going to be a lecturer in the plenary, and he wasn't coming to preach. But perceptions are what they are, and so I had a similar situation in my local church where I had invited a first day pastor who is very polished, very well-rounded, understood Adventism, and my members just couldn't deal with it, and so I had to disinvite.
That probably needs to be a conversation we should have in one of our regular shows. How do we deal with that? Because there are some, I believe there are some concerns that people believe are very legitimate, and I think we need to let's unpack it. Let's spend some time talking about that. I don't know. Well, see, that's one of those things. Like, we have that conversation. Does anything get settled? If you're in one camp, no matter how much you talk about it, do you actually move from that camp? Depending on what you hear.
You don't. And listen, Pastor Paul. I mean, when people have a mindset, it's very hard to change it. Some people think that we can only sing from the hymns. I think Orville was kind of talking a little bit about that. And that's the only thing you can sing from. Everything else is wrong. There used to be a time like that. Hymns are the only thing.
Oh, this is my jam. Now that you mention that, Lo He Comes. I got it.
Oh, now we know that one. That's a camp meeting song, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can slow this one down, nations.
Oh yeah, that's. I like that.
It was our camp meeting theme song a couple of years ago. Oh my goodness! And it was a COVID year, so we did it all virtual.
Okay.
Oh, I tell you, that was powerful, even good. Oh, the name of the preacher I was trying to remember was Dr. Reverend Charles Gilchrist Adams.
Okay.
He passed away, but he preached a message at Oakland University Church, and one of the things, he is a celebration preacher, and so at the end he does these runs, these alliterations. He's very good at alliteration. And he did one on the alphabet. Oh my goodness.
We can let the band play real
and
quick.
If you remember, Oakwood had this big podium, this big circular podium.
I remember that.
In that podium, there were electronics to control the lights and turn things on and turn things off. When Adams preached, he pushed it around in the podium, and he hit over the glass of water, and it spilled on the electronics there. The spirit was high in the place. And so we give God praise for hearing other perspectives.
Yeah.
You just hear other perspectives, and it's a blessing. I saw where Rodney said that PELC still comes under PC. No, it doesn't. PELC is under the Regional Conference Ministries. So all of the regional conferences, plus the two unions, regional unions, well, not regional unions, the two regional members of the regional unions on the West Coast, they are the ones that manage and lead PELC, that sponsors PELC. And Dr. Jesse Wilson is the director.
Oh, the modulation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we used to see this one here. That means. I like the screen at First Church. That's
really
new.
nice. Are they going up again? Here we go.
It's not just a screen, it's three screens. Two on top, one at the bottom. And what the pastor shared that
They can't hear you, Raj. Hold on.
Yeah. Is that Pastor Footman?
Could be. I didn't see. Oh, Lo He Comes. Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, I was just sharing what you see up at First Church there in Huntsville, the new screens. The pastor not only puts information on the screens, he also involves, kind of immerses the congregation in not just seeing something, but hearing it and experiencing it. So they actually build a whole option to not just hear the word of God, but see the word of God. So when the preacher talks about water, baptism, they see water moving on the screen. When he talks about anything he talks about, they actually make a motion graphic on the screen. So it's a very new experience for
That's
them.
nice.
Yeah. Hey, Sean. Good evening, Sean. Greetings. So glad to have you with us. I was looking at this comment. It says, no, that's the year he ridiculed the Sabbath, ridiculed Sabbath keepers and SDAs in particular. Also, someone who teaches error on a regular basis should not teach our people. So here's the thing with that. One is that this was years after. So that the concept of ridiculed, if you're thinking of the clip that I'm thinking of, was that the clip, Sean, where he says that he worships on Monday and he worships on Tuesday and I worship on whatever. If that's the clip that you're talking about, that was actually some years actually before that PELC. So that was out there for some time already. I don't know that I would categorize that as ridicule. I think there was certainly a disagreement. Whether he was ridiculing or not, so I guess that's up to everybody's individual, how you want to read that. But I think that the idea of, and I'll admit, I do wrestle and I do struggle with some of the same concepts that I think others do with the overall picture. But if we were bringing somebody in to teach us in evangelism, how to, and I'm just going to pull something out of the air, how to do proper sound during your evangelistic crusade. And if I used to work at Walt Disney World. You go to Walt Disney World, they put on these big elaborate shows, the sound systems. You go and you go to the show and you'll see this board, a sound board that's like, 4 or 5 boards long. And everything is automated, and there's not a single person in the booth. They have automated the sound for each speaker, for each part of the program, and it's there's nobody who's going to do sound and audio better than what we would see at a theme park, at something like a Walt Disney World. Would it make sense for me to bring that sound audio engineer to come and teach my audio engineers how to do good sound? Whether they, and would it matter if they were Catholic or Baptist or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever? I don't know that I would care about their religious beliefs if that's what they were coming to teach my audio engineers. That might be something, a debate to have.
Well, listen, it goes deeper than that. I think if you look at the prophet Ellen White and her book Acts of the Apostles, and how large portions of that book were written by Sunday preachers. She took it. Life skips the part. I mean, this is Ellen White. This is one-on-one Ellen White classes. This is it. So Ellen White and even the pioneers.
Ironically, Dr. Henry, same thing with our hymns and our hymnal. Ironically, tonight.
Hey, how many hymns are written by Adventists?
And we sing them in Adventist churches every week.
That we have, not the new one that I think somebody in the chat said Gail wrote that new one, but that I don't even know that.
Yeah.
So we go on a good conversation. Listen, this sounds like a show.
Gotta have it.
Season 8.
Yeah. Good.
For season 8. Season 8. That's season 8. By the way, they're ending up now. I see that everybody is leaving now from the festival. Yeah. My hope is that people will go back and watch it. Excellent program. And I just love this screen, Raj. I'm telling you. I love the screen, man. I'm gonna have to talk to my church. Yeah. Maybe we don't have the budget like a First Church. But I'm gonna talk to my church.
You might be surprised. While you're here in Huntsville, you should reach out to Dr. Lee and get a personal tour. Because he would be happy to share.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee's doing a great job. Great job.
Yeah, we're camp meeting. I took a group of media specialists over, and we had a very personal tour of their sanctuary screens and stuff like that. So it was real good.
Yeah. Wow. Sean, we're going to continue that conversation because I think it actually is the point when you understand what that particular for that event, what he was actually coming to do. It was not to teach Adventist pastors theology. It was not to teach them what to believe. It was something that was more technical about, and I don't remember exactly how you retain a crowd, how you follow up with people when they come, those kinds of things, I think is more along the lines of what that particular invite was for. I would personally have more of an issue. Man, I didn't jump into it. With some of the other invites that we have, where we do kind of bring them to teach theology and teach, Bible to us. I think I'd have more of an issue with some of those invites than I did with the specific context of when we had they had invited Jakes. But I think it's worth having the conversation. Because I think so many times people have postures or create, their opinions based on information that they do not have. And so I think at least, even though you might still choose to be in whichever camp you're in at the end of that conversation, I think it's valuable to at least make the decision to be in that camp based on accurate and full information. That might be something. Nobody wants to go and dig that up, but
No, I think that's a great conversation. What, as a denomination, can we learn from other denominations? Can we learn from other people of faith? I think that is a question. And if we go back to the genesis of our denomination, we would see that that's what we did. We learned from other people.
We didn't just learn from other people. We were other people. We were other people. We were Methodist and we were Baptist and we were, and that was
strong Methodists. We were strong Methodists.
Yeah.
So, but again, going back, and I would encourage our listeners, or those on the line, go back and do research on the writings of Ellen White. Go back, do the research, and you'll see that Ellen White was like, look, hey, we're body believers. And how she wrote some of her books and so forth. She actually, look, there was we go on with this, but she recommended that the reviewer, hey, listen, sell this book from Sunday People. I want you to sell it. Bring it into our place and sell it. I'm telling you. So we gotta be.
She recommended John Bunyan's book.
I did that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I didn't even talk about Pilgrim's Progress. I didn't even talk about. So I'm just saying we have to. It'll be good for us to really open that up, have a program on it, so that we could just shed some light on the sharing that takes place, that needs to take place as we grow in Christ, right?
They say that a people who don't know their history is doomed to repeat it, and we really don't know our history. We really don't know the impact that the Adventist Church has on society, and the impact of how the Millerite movement impacted the Adventist Church. And Miller was not an Adventist, but his movement impacted the Adventist Church in a strong way. So let's I just think we're not going to debate that tonight. But at least I give God praise for the opportunity to be exposed to others. I learned some things. I'm inspired by other preachers and not only just Adventist preachers, but other preachers to learn. Sometimes I'm listening and I'm like, how they saw that in the text, and it drives me to get into the text even more. And then God reveals something to me that I didn't see that before. So there's some good reasons to connect and to interconnect with others from other faiths, and you just don't know. I remember coming up as a young person, our parents would say you shouldn't be hanging with that person, and I'm saying, but what if my hanging with them is going to save them. You know, we
Mercy.
want to be separated all the time, but the Bible says we ought to be like salt, seasoning those around us, and so we miss that a lot. And I just going to throw that out and leave that there.
Yeah, but Sean, we hear you, Doc. I understand what you're saying. That some of the things that we may be saying now aren't necessarily directed specifically at what you're trying to convey. I know that it's hard to do it through text and those short snippets. So again, we'll try to dedicate some time to in the next season to address this, because I think it can be helpful.
Well, listen, I know our time is running short, but next season, what do we got, man? What are some ideas, right, that we have for next season? And by the way, if there's a particular topic that you'd like for us to talk about, how can they get that to us, Pastor Paul, Pastor Wade? How can they say, hey, we want you to address this? Is there a way?
Where are we going to see that best? If they bury it in the chat on one of these shows, it's harder to see. if you
email it to us at the pastorsrt@gmail.com.
That's it.
pastorsrt@gmail.com.
Hey, there's a PRT alum in the chat, Betty Nugent.
Yeah.
Good evening, Miss Betty. Yes, indeed.
So, some of the things that I would like for us to tackle next season. One is talking about the shortage of pastors and teachers within our denomination, and getting an idea on how we are addressing that as a denomination. So that's what I would really like to tackle next season.
Look, that's good. But here's another piece in that I think so, and it's interesting for Betty is here, and that you mentioned education.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we had a very, very robust conversation with Betty Nugent, and who was our other guest that night? Savannah, the principal up in Savannah. I think that's who was with us that evening. But anyway, so here,
Blackwell?
What is it?
Paula Blackwell?
Yes, that's it, Paula Blackwell. And I was just up there with them last week before last, and she was not in town, so I didn't get a chance to see her. But my school, a couple of weeks ago, or last month, the step-up funds were late, and we had teachers that couldn't get paid. And I called the conference office, seeing if I could get some help from the conference office to make sure that my teachers got paid. They said, look, we've been getting calls. We've been getting calls all day and all the last couple of days. Because it was like almost $500,000 that our conference was falling short of payroll, because so many of our schools are dependent on these public funds coming to parents to cover their tuition. If the funds dry up, like it seemed like it was happening then, or if the politics change, and for us, it's the state of Florida, but Florida is not the only state that is now creating public funds or even private funds that help fund students, parents sending their students to private schools. If those funds go away, then, like in our situation, I would have had to shut down the school. Like the entire school would have had no money to pay our teachers. We've got to put our heads together and figure out, how do we make our schools, our educational institutions, sustainable beyond some of the current public funding that is flowing in to many of our schools. And it will affect, I'm going to say this as delicately as I can, this will affect households who do not have the income to come out of pocket for full tuition, more so than other households. And those demographics are what they are. So that's something I think that's worthwhile us addressing in the next season as well.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. What's that?
No, I'm saying, Raj, how about you? Some ideas for the next season?
To be totally honest, I have not given it any thought. I'm still trying to finish up.
I got you. I
You
got
know,
you. I
one of
got
the
you.
one of the many things that I enjoy about Pastors Roundtable is tapping into issues that is relevant to those who sit in the pew and helping them to see it from a pastoral perspective, but also see it from a ministry's perspective. And so, as we move forward in season 8, I hope we can do shows that really educate about the ministry and the structure and how they intersect in our church. You know,
Mhm.
those things that are important. Education is important, definitely. The shortage of pastors and teachers, that's important. I'm just looking forward to the next season when we will be able to continue to partner with God and to partner with our viewers to help make ministry relevant, resourced, and real.
Yeah, that's good too, Sean. There, endowment said for schools. Yes, those are things. Listen, here's one of the things that I'd like to do next season as well. I'd like to bring in somebody to talk about event planning. How do you pull off a successful event? Most of our ministries, our local church ministries, that's what they do. They're doing an event. If you're pulling off a special day, if you're pulling off a community event, a lot of times we find our people just kind of getting together and saying, okay, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. And they, we haven't trained them how to do it. We haven't really given them much to go on. And so they are just doing what they've seen or trying to reproduce or replicate something that they've seen somewhere else, but they don't know the nuts and bolts or haven't been exposed to the nuts and bolts of how to put things together and to pull it off to make it work well. How do I get people to my event? How do I follow up with people after they've come to my event? What are some of the tools and equipment for good advertising and good promotion for a pulling off event? How do I put together a budget to make sure that when I pull this event together and go to my church board, are they going to give me the money to make sure that I can pull this thing off? Your evangelism is an event. Your worship services are an event. Sabbath school is an event. So I'd like to bring some folk in and have a discussion on that maybe might be resourceful to our audience when it comes to stuff like that.
Also, another thing too, we are expanding the PRT team. We've been expanding the PRT team ever since we got started. Okay.
In other words,
yeah. Well, we've gotten some people on board that really has taken our ministry to another level, and we appreciate that. We got my man TJ. I think he was the first one to come on. And just an exceptional young man. I say young man. Oh, I'm sounding old now, right, young man? but just an exceptional person. And then we got on John Mills. Oh my goodness, Dr. Mills been helping us out with writing questions and so forth. And then, oh boy, we landed Stephanie Scott. That's right, and she is doing. Yeah, man, she puts the
she's a
fire
boss.
to our feet, right? Yes, she is. She's very good. So we are expanding our team, okay? And so look out for that. Pray for us as we do that, because we believe that we have more people that's added to our ministry that God is going to continue to bless, and we'll be able to do even more when you have people that are dedicated, more people that are dedicated and just doing the work. So pray for that. Pray for that.
Yeah. Expanding. So it's something my brother, that's like really my brother. He's one of my other brothers, Lamar Gent. Said about finances, and it triggered something. It made me think about, so many of our viewers are in churches where their facilities are not up to par. They're not what they'd want to be. So how do we go about raising the money, the funds to be able to bring our facilities up to a standard that is where they ought to be. You know, I've pastored churches, man. I remember when my very first church, first district, I was getting ready to have a community guest day, no less. Well, our biggest day of the year, community guest day. We had the city commissioners, all the kind of folks showing up. It was raining. I'm sitting in the office. It's a shotgun church. You kind of walk in and there it is. They had a little tiny office off to the side. Mm-hmm. And I walked in that night and the ceiling was bowed. And there was water coming through that thing. And I picked up the phone. I called my elder in the office. And I said, man, it looks like this ceiling is about to, and I didn't get the words out of my mouth. And the ceiling just crashed in all over the office and in the sanctuary. And it was a big old sheet of drywall that was up there in the ceiling. And so it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock Friday night. Me and my elder are down there cleaning all that stuff up and having to put up a new sheet of sheetrock. And it's like, you know, things like that. You could sit in the back pew of that church, look behind the pulpit, and I could see my car through the cracks in the block. You know, the block goes, the cracks were so big I could see the cars in the parking lot through that thing. You know, what do we do? What do we do about bringing our facilities up to par, particularly in a time post-COVID where we don't even have the full, you know, most of us or many churches still don't have their full membership back in the buildings. What are we going to do with these buildings? Where are we going to get money to fix them? Do we need to try to fix them, or should we pursue some other stuff? I think that's some of our facilities we may not be able to. If we really can't afford to keep, we don't have the income.
When to walk away.
Hey, that's what. Remember in that Roger, you brought it up. Somebody brought up that risk management conversation. He said that a church that the number one risk was empty buildings. Empty buildings are one of the number one risk. And he also said that buildings that are only used once a week are considered empty buildings.
Wow. Risk.
That's a huge risk. Mercy.
Oh
listen, guys, we need to land this plane.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's land it.
I enjoyed our conversation. We have scratched some of the areas, but we have not delved into them. But I'm just excited. On this weekend, we begin the PELC experience, and tomorrow is the concert, and then on Sunday night they begin with an honorary service, and then they go into some preaching, and every day until Tuesday night, it's preaching. There's a preacher in the house, and along with some training.
Listen, special thanks tonight to Pastor William Lee of the First SDA Church in Huntsville, Alabama, and special thanks as well to Dr.
Jesse
Wilson for allowing us to stream part of the Festival of Hymns tonight. What a blessing that was. A special thanks to both of those gentlemen and allowing us to share that platform with them this evening. When are we coming back, guys?
I was saying Rodney's on a roll right now, man.
Church buildings. Tell us how GC baptizes tithe. What in the world?
Oh, man.
We'll leave that one alone.
I think First Elder's not being okay.
Oh yes. I somebody sent me. Oh yeah, Listen. Let's hit that real quick. Let me flesh that out, because I have some background on that. So I think the context of that comment has to do with, you know how sometimes a pastor will leave or will get moved, and then sometimes that church will stay open. We have had churches that have stayed open. I know of churches that have stayed open for over a year. And what's happening during that time? That church is still expected to return tithe and offering, tithe that is supposed to pay a pastor that they don't have, and that the head elder is doing the work that the pastor normally would do. And there are saints that look at that thing and they say, yo, okay, there it is. No more free labor. They're saying that's free labor. That we are getting away with making these elders pull this weight that somebody else should be getting paid to do. Hey, there's Bishop Donald Oliver. Good to see you, my buddy. Hailing from Orangeburg, South Carolina. There.
I'm gonna jump on the other side of that. Is that the body has it's a volunteer situation and a service situation. And so sometimes there are some who may get paid, but others, the thing for me is this: if we have the funds, let's pay everybody. But if we don't, and even if you don't pay them a stipend, a reimbursement for mileage, a thank you card, a gift certificate, there are other ways that we can compensate our volunteers. But to just do nothing is a sad situation.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's gonna be interesting thing to get into.
I think a little compensation is okay, man. I mean, if the church has the funds,
they're not talking about the church. They're talking about the conference. They're saying that the conference would be paying a full salary if the pastor was there, but they just, for whatever reason, and there are multiple reasons, they have not placed anybody there yet. And in the meantime, they've got a head elder who is pulling that weight, who is doing what that pastor who would have been receiving that salary do.
Bless the elder, bless him or her.
Yeah.
But let me ask this question: wouldn't the elder be doing it if the pastor was there?
No, the pastor would be doing the pastor's job if the pastor was there.
Well,
that's what they're saying. What I'm saying is
when I'm pastoring, my elders are pastoring with me.
But they're pastoring with, but so what are you doing?
I'm pastoring.
He's pastoring too.
Okay, so what the argument is, this person is not doing just what the elder would do. They're doing what the elder would do plus what the pastor would do in the absence of the pastor. That's the part that they're talking about.
But you're making it sound like the pastor does something different than what the elder does. No. Elders and pastors minister together. That's how I learned it.
Okay. So I would say
that might be true, but that's irrelevant to the idea that one is getting paid and one is not.
Together. Yeah, we minister together. But
yes.
when there is no pastor, right? When the pastor is, they don't have a pastor over that church, and that elder has to do a little more, not a little more, a lot more. I mean, come on, conference.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is why I'm sharing.
It's not fair.
It's more than just compensation on a regular basis. There are more things to happen, should happen, to let our volunteers know we value them. I mean, let's be honest. Let's totally be honest. We don't do a good job in valuing our leaders at our churches on a regular basis.
Oh, Miss Betty came strong. She came strong. Substitute teachers receive compensation. Why can't substitute pastors? Go ahead, Miss Betty.
Listen, there's a shortage. There's a shortage.
But it's the way you framing it. I'm saying my elders, or the elders that I serve with, they serve with me. It's not anything different. Granted, they may not serve the number of hours I put into it, but they serve. And when all of them are serving, when all of them are serving, if there's no pastor in there, they all share the burden. It's not something that is more grievous. Don't get me wrong. I'm 100% for sharing, for paying or compensating anybody and everybody. But I'm saying let's not make that that we are wrong for that. Free service is what we do in the church.
No, I can't. Not in this particular situation. You're making it sound like what the pastor does and what the elder normally does is exactly the same thing. It's not. It's not exactly the same thing. And so when you ask the elder to take on the role that the pastor has been doing, and that you have been paying that pastor to do with a full salary, and saying, we're asking you for however much amount of time to do what this paid person has been doing for free. Yeah, that's just never going to sit well.
Listen. I want the viewers to really, really listen to this show. This is what I go through. This
is almost a behind the scenes show.
Don't even go there. Don't even go there. I'm about to hit it, because what I'm going to say is that when you look at the first century church,
oh mercy,
the pastors do the same thing.
You went there, Roger.
What's that?
You went there.
Hey. I mean, when Paul went around to those churches, Paul did not get anything more than the elders who were holding it down.
Says who?
Did Paul get a regular salary?
What evidence do you have one way or the other on that?
Okay, watch this though. Let me drop this.
Edwina is saying they don't have the. She's taking a side. She said they don't have the same anointing. Paul would have said something about the priesthood of all believers, if I recall.
Wasn't Paul a tent maker too?
He was. Oh,
come on now.
What's the word we're looking for? He was. Was that a conflict of interest?
Remember, conflict of interest is about not telling. It's not about you can't do it.
Bishop dropped a text on us, y'all. 1 Timothy 5:17. KJV plus the TVM. Let the elders that rule be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. Does honor equate to a check?
Double check. It said double honor. That's double check.
Listen, y'all. Look,
it's good.
It's a good conversation, but we're gonna have to save this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bishop Oliver, for bringing us back around.
And I know that we're kind of smiling and chuckling at this. I don't want people to think that just because we're smiling and laughing that we're taking this lightly. Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. It's something that
I want to take an opportunity to share that have some very dedicated individuals who serve, men and women who serve the church every week, every day, helping to make things happen, making sure ministry is going forward. And I thank them for what they do. And I also include colleagues who are employed by the conference to lead. So we praise God for all of them for what they're doing here at the Pastors Roundtable. I was almost ready to do our closing, but I know y'all have final words.
Oh no! Listen, man. Hey,
22. We got 8 minutes.
I'm ready for you, Doc. I'm ready for you.
Hey, when are we coming back? When are we going to see our audience again, guys?
2024.
Oh, so we're saying we're off for the rest of the year.
Yes. Yes.
No Christmas program.
No Christmas program, man. 2024. No.
We will definitely let them know when we'll be back, but we are actually signing off for the rest of 2023. And we want to wish everyone. I want to thank you for supporting Pastors Roundtable. And many of you have not just supported in the presence on our shows, but you're supported with your funds. And we thank you for supporting Pastors Roundtable. And if you would like to support Pastors Roundtable, we're trying to do ministry in unique ways. We talked about making sure that everyone is paid.
The laborer is worthy of his hire.
This is free labor right now. But we just want you to know that we do this out of the love for ministry. But ministry does cost. The gospel is free, but ministry does cost. And so if you would like to support Pastors Roundtable, go to our website, the prt.live, prt.live, and there you can scroll down to the bottom and hit the support, and you can support Pastors Roundtable either in Cash App or on PayPal. We will be appreciative of your sacrificial gift to Pastors Roundtable
Absolutely.
to support the ministry.
We're going to have a whole new year of subscriptions and equipment and all of that kind of stuff that we're going to have to acquire and re-up those subs in order to continue this ministry. I think we've never said this, but just the music that we use, we have to pay for the video screens and all those things that we use, the platforms that we use, we have to pay for. I think we put out, and I'm not talking about cameras and lights and computers and all that kind of stuff, just the subs. We're looking at close to, what is it, about almost $1,700 a year just for the subs.
$7,000 a year.
What is it?
All things that we do, 7,000.
No, I'm just talking about the
Wow.
software subs. I'm not talking about the equipment. Once you throw the equipment in there, the lights and all of those kinds of things So, and any help that you can give is helpful. We are not sponsored by any conference, any division. This is just these gentlemen here and their hearts, along with those of you that have given in the past. And we thank you. So many of you have already partnered with us. We appreciate what you have done.
I just got a private text from a former first elder of mine, and he wants to know where he could put the paperwork in for the back pay.
Come on now.
Listen, hey, there's one thing, man. We have some hard-working members. Oh,
Yeah, no doubt.
Working hard, and on behalf of the team, we really appreciate you all who have put your blood, sweat, tears involved in this thing. By the way, viewers, if you have any suggestions for us, suggestions on topics, suggestions on how we could expand our team, suggestions on how to be efficient, I think we gave out just a while ago the email address, right? You can email us. I think that's the best way.
pastorsrt@gmail.com. pastorsrt@gmail.com.
So if you email us, we'll get it, and then we could make sure that we grow as a ministry and be more efficient. So we need you. We definitely need you, and we love you, and we thank you so much for your support.
Yes.
All right, last thing, and I'm gonna get out and give you a chance. We still got 3 minutes. We've been toying. Can I throw this? Can I share with them the idea I put in the chat the other day?
Let's do it.
We've been toying with the idea of creating the. I'm not gonna tell him. I'm not gonna do it.
No, don't tell them.
Well,
Because we just heard about it. So let's not get out there.
Yeah, but it's
Well,
fascinating.
We're looking at doing some tweaks to the Pastors Roundtable and the offerings that we have on our channel. So we praise God for the opportunity to strive to do ministry. We thank you for joining us. We thank you for partnering us. We're here at the Pastors Roundtable, where we strive to make ministry relevant,
Resourced,
and real. God bless.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night and a happy Christmas, New Year, all that good stuff.
Happy holiday.